But one day, adversity, challenges, economic hardship drove her to me, and she came begging me some dirham, some coins, some money to feed herself and the family and the mother. And I said, already, you know what I wanted from you. If you are ready to give me my wish, I'll also give you the money.
يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا ويرزقه من حيث لا يحتسب ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم أما بعد. Respected viewers, I welcome you to today's episode on relief in times of hardship. I'm Yahya Tuntunba. Today's episode on relief in times of hardship will revolve around a very important act that when it is done, it ensures relief to a believer whenever he or she finds herself or himself in difficult times. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us in the Quran, and the Prophet ﷺ taught us that there are many people, when they are in hardship, they call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are others who call upon Allah, and when the hardship is over, they forget about Allah. Such behavior is not a good behavior. But there are others who are the believers. When they are in hardship, they seek the divine intervention of Allah with act of righteousness that they have done before. That means that an act of righteousness that was done with ikhlas, sincerity, and that was done anticipating reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, become very, very effective in bringing down divine intervention of Allah whenever one finds himself in a hardship that he is completely unable to get himself out with any material means. And you will see this in many places in the hadith and also in practical experiences of pious people. It is mentioned in Bukhari and Muslim about 3 people that were traveling in the wilderness. And it was rainy, the cloud was all over, there was thunder, there was lightning. So they got terrified. And they looked around and they saw a cave. And all these people, they took asylum in that particular cave. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put them into a test. That was, a rock fell from the top of the cave, blocking the way out, leaving these 3 people in a very difficult situation, a very hard circumstance and situation. They cannot come out, their food is exhausted, it's find it difficult to get water, and they have nobody to call upon. They shout, nobody will hear about them. In real-time situations, we find ourselves in the situation or in the circumstance that these 3 people found themselves. You find yourself in a situation, you have no money, and you have nobody to depend on. You have nobody to call upon. You call upon people, you send out a call of relief, and nobody is ready to come to your service. Nobody is ready to come to your relief. At that particular instance, what do? This is the most hard instance one can find himself. When you cannot rely on anybody, and you can't rely on your own capabilities have failed you, everybody around you has failed you, nobody is actually listening to you. At this particular instance, you need to look between yourself and your Creator, who is capable of doing everything. If you look within yourself and you have such strong spiritual connection with your Creator that can save you, then you are lucky. In this particular story, they were very lucky. They have a special connection with Allah with certain acts of righteousness they have done before. So the 3 people, they advised themselves. After, when they couldn't find anyone to relieve them, there was no food and water available, and they were at the verge of death. If they don't get out, they were going to die. The rock is blocking their entrance. So they said, لَنْ يُنْجِيكُمْ مِنْ هَذِهِ الصَّخْرَةِ إِلَّا أَنْ تَدْعُوا اللَّهَ بِصَالِحِ أَعْمَالِكُمْ. They said, they agreed upon among themselves that nothing will save us from this particular rock that is blocking our way from coming out of the cave. Nothing will save us except that we seek the intervention with our good deeds that we have done. We pray to Allah, seeking His intervention that with these good deeds that we have done before, save us. Respected viewers, this is where we see the power of good deeds. How can a good act that one has done before, assume all the momentum and the power to be able to push away a rock for people to come out? But this is what the story is depicting, and this is what has happened. So the first among them got up and said, "Oh Allah, كان لي أبوان كبيران." I was having two elderly parents. My mother and my father were very old, and I was living with them. And I used not to prefer my family and my own self over them when it comes to food and drink. Meaning, if I have brought food home, and if I have prepared food, I don't prefer my children and my wife over them. I always serve them food. I always serve them food before my little kids and even before my parents. I am doing all this in out of kindness to them. One day, I was a shepherd. When I went out to graze my animals, the animals took me farther into the forest. And before I could return home, he always returned with a bowl of milk, and he would serve his parents before serving his children. Before he came back and milked the animal and brought it home, his parents had fell asleep. Because they waited and waited for him, and the usual supper time was over, and they fell asleep. The children were still awake because of hunger. But when he came, he said, "I swear, I will not give you people the food. I will not give you, my kids," referring to the kids, "this food, this milk," and said, "My parents are waking up and they have taken their share before I've given you." That is his routine, and he never broke that particular routine, even that particular situation, in that particular day. He continued to hold the bowl while the parents were asleep. He held the bowl in his arm, looking at them while they were asleep, until they wake up and saw him in that particular situation and took their share of the food before he was able to serve his children. So he said, "Oh Allah, if I have done this act only for you, then oh Allah, let this rock move away so that we can go out." And lo and behold, the power that this goodies was carrying was so strong that the rock that the three strong men could not push, the power of these goods, which is kindness to parents, was able to push the rock. And they were able to see outside, get some fresh air, and yet they were not able to go out. But he prayed to Allah that if this act, I have done it for you alone, and you are pleased with this act, push the rock so that we can see the way, we can go out. And lo and behold, the power of such goodness, kindness to parents, pushed the way, and they were able to go out. How many of us today prefer the comfort of our parents over our own comfort, the comfort of our wives and our children? But that was what that particular young man did, and Allah bless him, was pleased with that. And so it's something that we should emulate. And the second person came, he said, "Oh Allah, كانت لي بنت عم." I was having a cousin, and she was the most beloved of people to me. That is, I was having a daughter of my uncle. She was the most beloved of people on earth to me. And I had requested from her earlier on to have an affair with her, and she refused. But one day, adversity, challenges, economic hardship drove her to me, and she came begging me some dirham, some coins, some money to feed herself and the family and the mother. And I said, "Already, you know what I wanted from you. If you are ready to give me my wish, I'll also give you the money." She couldn't find herself out of the situation she was, but to let herself in. She agreed. And when I sat between her two legs, according to the hadith, When I sat between her two legs, she reminded me to fear Allah. He said, oh, you, this man, fear Allah and do not break the seal unless with its right. وَلَا تَفُضُّ الْخَاتِمِ إِلَّا بِحَقِّهَا. Do not break the seal of a virgin except by giving it its right. That is by paying her dowry and by marrying her. When she said I should fear Allah and shouldn't do this, and while I found myself sitting in between her, I got up and still gave her 120 dirham. That was great money at the time. Oh Allah, if I had done this act for your sake, I pray with this act, I seek your intervention with this act, that you push the rock so that we can go out. And so the rock pushed away, very big, yet they were not able to go out. The third person came. And the third person, he mentioned that he employed some servants. He employed some laborers to work for him. After they have finished the work, he paid them off except one of them, who refused to take his share. And he went away. Later, he invested the money that he was supposed to pay for that laborer. He invested the wages. And he was able to buy sheep. The sheep multiplied. And he bought cows. The cows multiplied until he bought camels. And after a period of time, with that particular money, he was able to invest that money. And he had valley of sheep, valley of cow, valley of camel. Then after some years to come, the man came walking to him and said, give me my wages. He said, okay, you see all these valleys of sheep, valleys of cow, valleys of camel, all of them are for you. And he said, atastahzi'u bi? Are you making fun of me? I only requested of my wages, the little money that you were supposed to pay me, and I walk away without taking it. That is what I'm requesting. He said, yes, I am not making fun of you, but I invested that money, and that has multiplied into what you see of valleys of different cattle, valleys of sheep and camel and cow. When he said that, he drove away all the man. The laborer drove away all these valleys of sheep and cow and camel. He drove everything away without even leaving a rope that he used to tie them for the man. And the man allowed him to drive everything away. He said, oh Allah, if I had done this for your sake and for your pleasure alone, I pray that you push away this rock so that we can go out. And lo and behold, the rock was shifted away and the three of them came out walking to their homes and they were safe. Respected viewers, I know a lot of us go through hardship. We go through hard times. You finish university, you're looking for a job and all the doors are locked up for you. We travel, then you find yourself entangled and entrapped at a particular place and you are not able to come. You find yourself doing business and you get locked up. You find yourself in difficult times and different difficult times that you can think about. One of the ways that we can get relief in times of difficult times and hardship is by seeking intervention of Allah with the righteous acts that we have done solely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that means that anybody should try his best or her best to have such act of righteousness that she does solely for the sake of Allah. After Salah, all the believers pray. The Muslims, they pray Salah. Everybody pray. And as for fasting of Ramadan, people fast the whole month. All over the world. Every Muslim is fasting this Ramadan. People are fasting. And you can see even children are fasting. But going beyond these acts that forms the pillars of Islam, that are the determinants of you remaining a Muslim or you being a believer, there are certain acts that are done solely and nobody knows them except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is, have a secret with Allah with which you can seek intervention of Allah in terms of difficulties and hardship. In recounting how acts of worship will be used to intervene for the help of Allah, to bring relief in times of hardship or in fulfillment of one's needs, I recounted a personal story that happened to me when I finished the college. And then I was looking for a place to do national service. Once I was looking for a place for a national service, I had a chance to be employed in an international company. And this is an international company as an accounts officer. Whilst I was looking for a place for a service, they were also looking at employing me. And the owner of the company told me that I want to give you the employment, but you need to also promise me that you're going to stay. You not just work for 1-2 years and then you go away. Because the way I look at you, it's like you have ambitions to study more. The way I look at your CV and yourself, your ambitions, it's like you have the ambition to study more. And I look straight into him. And I said, yes, I have applied for a scholarship. And if the scholarship is ready, I was going to study. That is Sharia. I wanted to study Islamic law, Sharia in the Islamic University of the Holy City of Medina. Then the Sheikh looked at me and said, so I am going to fulfill the job that they were going to get me a car, because the accounts officer is entitled to a car, a laptop and accommodation, and a very good salary. And they were even going to open a branch in another city in the country where you'll be posted to be the one that coordinating with the head office. And I said, yes, because actually I have a burning desire to learn the deen. And he said, okay, see this act that you have done, I wish that when you go home, you pray 2 rak'ah and ask Allah that the sacrifice that you have made for the sake of His deen, He should give you the scholarship. He should give you the chance to go and study. And when I came home, I did exactly what I was advised by the manager to do. And in that particular year, when the admissions were out, they took about 21 students and my name was number 1 on that particular list. And that was something very great because a lot of people continue to apply for several times and years without getting admission. I applied once and by Allah's grace, I got admission and my name was number 1 in this country. And that is what we call the concept of at-tawassul. Islam is allowed for one in terms of difficulties and hardship, we want to do tawassul. That is to seek intervention of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with one goodies. What is not allowed is for you to seek intervention with a sheikh who is dead or wali who is dead or somebody who is not present. This is shirk. But any other intervention with your own goodies that you have done is allowed. And that is one of the ways of getting relief in times of hardship. We have seen the story of these 3 people and what each one of them had with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of a secret. And the question to all of us now is, do you also have a secret with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Do you have a secret with Allah with which you can intervene for His help in difficulties? This is what all of us should go home and be thinking about. This is what all of us should preoccupy ourselves with. We thank you for the time that you have with us. I'm Yahya Tuntunba. Until we see you next time tomorrow. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
يكبر قدرك عند الله قصص لا تكشف إلا بكتابك حين ترى الله ما أحراك بهذا أن يكبر قدرك عند الله